What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for tuning in for another edition of Big TDs and Tangents.
What'd you say?
Big TDs and Tangents.
That's not what you said, but all right.
That's definitely what I said.
It's not what you said.
We are headed into week 6. This is our weekly NFL Pick'em show. I am Dan Kornhauser. I'm here with my co-host, Mike Goodpaster. Mike, happy Wednesday.
And it's a great Wednesday. Joe Flacco is going to lead the Cincinnati Bengals to the Super Bowl. So let's go ahead and get this party started. You want to start off with game 1, Dan?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. The
yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles, 7.5-point favorite against the New York Giants. Dan, what do you think?
I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles in this one. Nakobe Dean, their linebacker, is coming back. He's going to be playing his first game of the season this week. I don't think that solves anything for this team. Philly is weird, man. Their offense, every week, their offense is something different that pisses people off. One week it's their passing offense. This past week it was their rushing offense. Now, this is a short week division game, so anything's possible. But I just don't think the Giants are that good. I think this is a get-right game for Philly, and I'm going to take Philly.
Yeah, this is the Brian Daboll farewell tour now. Jackson Dart, I don't think, is anywhere near a starting quarterback that could save his job. The Eagles have only averaged 73 yards rushing the last 3 weeks. But Saquon Barkley, I think, goes off like he did last year when he gouged the Giants for like 176 yards in New York. So I will give the 7.5 points here without an issue. I mean, this is a team that got blown out by the Saints. Next up, the Denver Broncos, favored by 7.5, Dan, against the New York Football Jets. I don't know why I said football because there's no other. Well, I guess the Winnipeg Jets. But the Jets are the only winless team in the NFL. Justin Fields took 5 sacks in a Week 5 loss to the Cowboys, and the Broncos had 6 sacks against the Eagles last week. I think this, I may be the only person here, but I think the Denver Broncos are a Super Bowl contender, especially in an AFC right now that sees no Joe Burrow, no Lamar Jackson, and the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty looks dead. I'm going to take the Broncos and give the 7.5 here, Dan.
I'm going to take Denver as well, chalking it up. And no, you're not the only one in here that thinks Denver is a legitimate Super Bowl contender. That defense is for real. As long as Bo Nix can keep the good play up, I think the sky's the limit for this team.
All right, next up, we've got the Indianapolis Colts are hosting the Arizona Cardinals. Dan, the Colts are favored by 5.5 points. This seems like I don't know. It seems like this should be more like 7 or 7.5. Am I crazy here?
Not at all. Right before we got on the air, I was looking at some of these lines. It's actually -7.5 in a few spots. But if we're doing -5.5 Indy, I'm taking Indianapolis. This team is on fire. I think I need to stop disrespecting them. I picked Vegas last week, terrible decision, and I'm not making that mistake again. For a note, Kyler Murray did not practice with a foot issue. Gannon, their head coach, said that he is day-to-day. I don't think it puts his Sunday into question, but it's just worth mentioning. But I'm going to take Indy.
All right, the big stat to me is the Indianapolis Colts have 0 turnovers in their last 4 games. I think the Colts run away with this game against Arizona and win. Let's face it, Arizona's coming off not only a bad loss, but I don't know how you overcome it. I mean, not in a week, not maybe in a season, because the way they blew that game against the Tennessee Titans, I think will haunt them for the rest of the season. Next up, the Los Angeles Chargers against the Miami Dolphins. The Chargers are -5.5. And, I mean, the Chargers, it's not like they've been dominant as of late. You know, offensive line injuries, including Joe Alt, have hurt this offensive line. LA's 4-2 against the spread. I think Miami, however, might be in a worse free fall under Mike McDaniel. They have the worst run defense in the league, and we know Harbaugh is going to load up, try to run the ball. I think the Chargers will cover the 5.5 here, Dan.
I'm going to go with Miami on this one. And yes, Miami might be dead last in the NFL in rushing defense, but big note, the Chargers are going to be without Amarian Hampton. He's going on the IR with an injury. So now they're down to their third and fourth string running backs. So that's something to see. Maybe that ground game isn't as potent as we're used to without Hampton.
I'm betting it will be because Harbaugh tends to not really care who's carrying the rock. He's just going to run the rock. Plus, Justin Herbert, I mean, has looked much better. I mean, he's definitely improved from last year and the year before. Next up, Dan was the classic matchup. The New England Patriots at -3.5 against the New Orleans Saints. This is a game I think the Patriots have to win because I think the Patriots, when you look at the landscape of the AFC, are a legitimate wild card contender here.
I mean, Drake May looks like he's the real deal. I think I've said this before, but I love Mike Vrabel as a head coach. I
No,
would
you didn't, because when he was at Tennessee, you used to say he was sick and pukey and terrible and all
no,
those
no, no.
things that you said.
I used to say their offense and their offensive play calls were
But he
off,
still won.
but I loved what he did with Tennessee. He took that team from nothing to the AFC Championship. So with Ryan Tannehill. So I'm a huge fan of Vrabel. I love Drake May. I don't think it's too crazy to say that they're a wild card contender. I'm not going to say that they're ready for the division title yet, but I'm going to take New England in this game.
Well, they did just beat the Bills.
They did.
So I think they're a real threat with Mike Vrabel because he's a guy who's really good at taking less than what you got and beating you with it anyways. Drake Mays completed 77% of his passes in the last couple games. They won 2 AFC East road games. New Orleans forced 5 turnovers against a horrible Giants team. This is not the Giants they're playing. The Patriots are much better than the Giants. I still don't like the spread a whole lot just because it's at New Orleans, but I'm going to take the Patriots. I'm going to give the 3.5 points. Next up, we've got the Browns versus the Steelers. So this is a game that Dan, have you looked lately? Is it still 5.5?
Yeah, that's what I have here. -5.5 Pittsburgh.
That makes this interesting because to me, this looks like a game that should be more than that, like at least 7.5. I don't know. But I would say Dylan Gabriel didn't make any mistakes or did not make any major mistakes at his debut as a starter. But the Browns, I think, have to take more chances on the road against Pittsburgh. I think they played it way too close to the vest overseas last week. The big thing to me is Cleveland. I mean, the stat I see here is opposing quarterbacks have 10 touchdowns and no interceptions against Cleveland this season. But still, I don't think the Steelers are that good, and I think Aaron Rodgers is streaky. The Browns are going to be able to get after him, but I just don't see the Browns having enough offense, no matter who their quarterback is. That are the 3 they've got left from the 10 they had at the start of the year. I'm going to take the Steelers to cover, and I'm saying that way too much to be comfortable right now, Dan. I'm saying covering things way too much.
Yeah, you get yourself in trouble when you do that, but being chalky is ugly when you're making picks, but it's tough with some of these lines and some of these matchups. I mean, you look at Cleveland, you talk about how they allowed 10 touchdowns, no interceptions in passing, but they're not giving up that many yards. Their defense is like polar opposites.
Yeah, they got a playoff defense.
They have a good defense. They don't give up a lot of yards, but they're 21st in points allowed. So they're giving up almost 25 points per game. You're not going to win many football games allowing over 24 points per game, especially when your offense sucks. And yeah, Quinshon Judkins looks like a legitimate running back, and he's going to get a workhorse level amount of touches, but Cleveland's in a bad way, man. I'm just curious when we're going to see Shedeur Sanders because they traded Joe Flacco, and we'll talk about that later on. But they traded Joe Flacco, so now it's just the rookies and
Bailey Zappi, who now will be the number 2 guy from what I've heard earlier today.
And I was going to say, and the weird thing is how they're treating the Shedeur Sanders thing now, because the obvious thing,
because he's not ready,
he should be the backup.
Hey, the problem is this: Shedeur Sanders is a selfish, arrogant little bitch like his daddy. He's not a quarterback. That works at corner. It doesn't work at quarterback.
Yeah, and his little bullshit last week where he was doing the mime interview where he was just moving his mouth and not saying any words is he's still super immature. And I get like maybe sometimes people are a little too over the top with snap judgments. Oh, he's this, oh, he's that. But honestly, man, it's just when
watch him play in college.
When they keep piling up through college, like blaming your offensive line for them not blocking for you and putting your team failures on other players. That was a huge thing in college. Talking smack on the field, that was a huge thing. The whole questions coming out of the draft, which is why he fell to the 5th round, weren't physical questions. It was the off the field stuff.
There were questions on his play on the field. I mean, he takes too many sacks. He holds onto the ball too long. He doesn't read a defense. He's not very quick. He's a fifth round guy. All right, next up, the Dallas Cowboys are favored by 3.5 against the Carolina Panthers. And running back Javonte Williams is coming off a 135-yard performance. Carolina running back Rick Dowdell, who played for Dallas for like 4 or 5 years, had a breakout game with 206 yards rushing. I'm going to take the Panthers in the points here, Dan.
So it's Dallas minus 3.5.
Yeah, that's what it is now. It was 3 when I put this up, but
So you know what? Let me. I'm going to say Dallas. I'm going to say Dallas on this one. I just don't think Carolina's got the offense to keep up with them.
well, I think with Dallas's defense, though, Carolina's offense may be better than what it normally is.
I mean, if Rico Dowdle's going to run for 200 yards again, then Carolina's got a really good shot. But
Well, if he runs for 200 yards, they're going to win the game. Because that means you didn't fall behind because you still couldn't run the ball. All right, next up. This is an interesting game. We had a team that lost its winning streak, another team that now has won 3 in a row. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars hosted the Seattle Seahawks. Right now, this is a pick'em. Most sportsbook I've seen anywhere from a pick'em to a point and a half. So this game's a toss-up, Dan.
Yeah, it is, and I've seen more lines coming into the show right before we got on. I saw a lot of lines that Jacksonville minus 1.5 or Jacksonville minus 1 at this point.
That's what I just said. No more than a minus 1.5.
But yeah, it's I don't know if it should be a coin flip. I think Seattle's the better team. I still don't trust Jacksonville. I still don't trust Trevor Lawrence. Jacksonville's defense also looks legit, and that's that's what keeps bailing them out in some of these games that they're winning. But I don't know. It's just something about it. If it's a coin flip, I'm gonna hope that I flip it and it lands on Seattle. I'm gonna take Seattle in this.
Yeah, I'm going to say Seattle also. Sam Darnold, people have slept on. He's completed over 70% of his passes, 73%, which is higher than Trevor Lawrence. Both run defenses are good here. The Seahawks are 9-1 on the road in their last 10 games. I'm going to take Seattle here. And next up, this is one I don't think anybody would predicted line-wise at the start of the year. The Rams are favored by more than a touchdown against the Baltimore Ravens, Dan.
Yeah, so it's looking like LA Rams minus 7.5 is the popular one going around on different sports books. Honestly, I thought it would be higher, maybe like 8.5, 9.5, because this Ravens team is going downhill fast. They are sinking. They are tied to an anchor, and they're going to the bottom of the ocean quick. And it doesn't matter when Lamar Jackson comes back. This defense is atrocious. Derrick Henry looks like a shell of himself. I don't know what the problem is in that backfield. It's just a disaster right now. So I'm going to take the Rams, and I'm surprised this line isn't higher.
I'm going to take the Rams, but it does worry me because I think the Rams' one issue sometimes can be stopping the run. And if you load up Derrick Henry and just ride his ass, you may be able to get somewhere there. But I think the Rams are the better team in the long run. Next up, we've got the San Francisco 49ers against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with what'll be this year's NFL MVP, Baker Mayfield. I saw in your little power rankings thing that you're starting to not think I'm so crazy about Baker possibly being a top 5 quarterback in the NFL since you called him one of the favorites to win the MVP.
Well, I may be a hater, but I gotta call him like I see him, and he's having a great season thus far.
He's had like 3 in a row now.
He's I'd say 2 in a row. The last year and this year with Tampa Bay. But regardless, he's playing at an elite level. He's playing at a top 3 level right now, and he has to absolutely be in this conversation on everyone's shortlist for MVP through the first 5 weeks. We'll see how that sustains, but color me impressed.
Well, how about this, though? This is the thing that's interesting. Mac Jones has 100 quarterback rating or better in 2 of his 3 starts in place of Brock Purdy. The Bucs are favored by 2.5, Dan. I like the Bucs here, and I think they win this game by a touchdown.
You know what? Yeah, I have Tampa Bay here. I was gonna change it to San Francisco just because you said Tampa Bay too, and I hate having too many chalky picks. But yeah, Tampa Bay minus 2.5. That's kind of weird. This is another one I would have thought Tampa Bay would have been a little higher. As good as Mac Jones has been, let's be completely honest, it is Mac Jones. So I'll just
Yeah, I think the 49ers defense, even without Bosa, though, gets a lot of credit. Next up, the Tennessee Titans versus the Las Vegas Raiders, Dan. The Raiders are favored by 6.
Tennessee.
Me too, because just
Yeah,
saying the Raiders are favored by 6 makes me feel like stupid.
it's disgusting. I need to
I
take a
mean,
shower
why would they be favored by 6 points over anybody?
because
And
Vegas is making jokes. That's why.
I don't know.
That's
It's
why.
I don't know what kind of jokes they are. But next up, we've got the Bengals and the Packers. The Bengals are led by, of course, Joe Flacco, and they will battle the Green Bay Packers, who have not won since week 2.
Hmm.
And I'm going to give you this: the Bengals can't stop anybody. But now, I mean, and I think Jake Browning is a good quarterback. I don't think he's terrible. I think what's happened is he's been thrown in a horrible situation with a horrible line. And the one thing people miss here, Jake Browning can't take the top off the defense. Joe Flacco can. You got Jamar Chase, you got T. Higgins. I know he doesn't know the offense very well, but how much stuff can you give 41-year-old Joe Flacco that he's never seen before?
Pretty much.
I like the Bengals to cover this game. I think Flacco will play well, and I think there's going to be just enough Higgins and Chase to keep this game within 2 touchdowns, Dan.
What's the line currently? Green Bay
14.
minus 14. That registers. Actually, this line went higher recently because I saw it at 14.5, and
Well,
I think
14's lower, Dan.
or whatever, but it was like 11.5, 12.5. I think
The lowest I saw it was 13.
Weird, man. So
That was before then Joe Flacco went and it went up for some reason. I'm sure we'll talk about the Joe Flacco thing here in a little bit.
Yes. So Joe Flacco.
And I think we learned our lesson over the last couple of weeks that when you see a line 14 points or more, tread very carefully in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm not going to make that mistake here, even though I could honestly see Green Bay win by 2 touchdowns plus because Cincinnati's just.
If the Bengals play the way they've been playing, yeah, they're going to lose by that. But you got to imagine that maybe they got a little bit of pride. And Joe Flacco has been known to come in and light a little spark there. He can throw the ball deep. You know, the dude is a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback, did win a Super Bowl. And I think at one point he was like 15-5 in playoff games.
I mean, as long as he doesn't throw 3 picks, every week like Browning had been doing seemingly, I think they'll be okay.
I think Flacco only averages 2 a week, so it should be an upgrade.
That's an improvement. I'm going to take Cincinnati as well. I hate that line.
All right, next up, we got your Kansas City Chiefs favored by a point over. I'm into Detroit Lions against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by a point, and I don't know here. I mean, the Chiefs have a front-loaded, tough schedule, and Detroit's caused a lot of turnovers here, Dan. But when I watch this, I just think Detroit is more physical, and they're by far the better team. And I think getting Detroit in a point here is damn near criminal. I think the Detroit Lions are going to win this game by double digits, Dan.
I mean, I love your confidence, and I mean, I hope so. I am a little torn because even though I'm a Lions fan, you know how I stand for Mahomes and the Chiefs. So this is a little bittersweet for me. But looking at these two teams, this is another line I'm a little surprised by. I'm a little confused why Kansas City is favored in this.
I can tell you why, because in Vegas, they're trying to get even money bet off both teams. The Chiefs are so popular that people are going to bet the Chiefs no matter what.
And I mean, that's fine. Mahomes, Reed.
Well, it's kind of like if you look at Yankees and Dodgers lines during the season in baseball, they're always overvalued. The Chiefs are overvalued. The Lions are undervalued here. Anytime you get a team that's undervalued, I mean, to me, I would bet this game at Lions -3.
That's what I initially thought it would be. I thought it would be like at least Detroit -2.5.
Yeah, but you got the Mahomes factor.
Nah, like looking at these two teams, the Lions have the better offense. The Lions have the better defense, even with all the injuries that they have.
The DB thing would worry me though.
And this kills me every week. Kansas City, they don't run the ball. Kareem Hunt sucks. Stop giving him the rock. Give Pacheco the ball. At least he's averaging 5 yards a pop almost every week. And see what Brashard Smith, a rookie 7th round pick, has in a passing game. Maybe he could be useful, but They got to run the ball. That's an issue with me every week with KC. I'm taking Detroit, and I hate this KC -1 line. It's dumb.
All right, next up, the Buffalo Bills versus the Atlanta Falcons. The Buffalo Bills are favored by 3.5 points, Dan.
Buffalo -3.5. So that's actually at -4.5 now. But 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. I'm still taking Buffalo. Atlanta's come off their bye week. I like what they look like with the defense, with their pass rush. They look like they're getting better on that side of the ball. But Buffalo's got to bounce back from last week's tough game, tough loss against New England, and I think they're going to be out for blood.
All right, so at 4.5, I'm taking the Falcons. I think the Falcons can win this game. They've had a bye week. Still don't trust the quarterback either way here. But I also think the Buffalo Bills are way overvalued. I don't think they're the best team in the AFC, but they are one of the best teams. But I like the Falcons in 4.5 points at home. All right, next up, we got the Bears at the Commanders. Commanders favored by 4. Dan, I'll go first on this one since you just went first. Now, Jaden Daniels hadn't been awesome. All right. But the Chicago Bears have Caleb Williams. This is my prediction. Caleb Williams 2 weeks ago played great. Last week, didn't play that well. This week, will not play that well. Washington Commanders win. They cover the 4 points.
Well, maybe not last week because they won a bye week. I mean, the week before that.
Yeah.
But they are coming on. They do have 2 straight wins, and they're looking to try to get a third. And
who did they beat in those 2 wins? They beat the Cowboys and
I don't remember at this point. I don't even know what
exactly.
I have to this. But the point is that they're riding a 2-game winning streak. So, but Washington's in a weird spot. Debo Samuel, I'm not sorry, not Debo. Scary Terry coming off injury. Jaden Daniels still coming back, trying to get comfortable. He did struggle against the Chargers, but it didn't matter because their ground game was right. They finally gave Bill the rock, and I hope they keep doing that. I'm going to take Washington.
All right, so that wraps up our games. Look at that, 25 minutes, and really we came on 2 minutes late, so it's 23. So what do you got for me, Dan? We got some big titties and tangents.
Big TDs and tangents. So, first one, let's talk Joe Flacco. Got traded from the Browns to the Bengals. It was Flacco and a 6th-round pick for a 5th-round pick. He is going to be starting this week. Flacco, Browning, you kind of touched on it a little bit. You said you didn't think Browning was that big of the issue here. But
well, I think the issue
is it the right move?
I think it is. You have to do something. You're 2-3 right now, but the AFC North right now may be the worst division in football. I mean, the Browns are god awful. The Ravens look worse than the Bengals. And the only team that looks worse than the Bengals is the Ravens. Because I'm sitting there feeling bad that I got to watch the Bengals play at 4 o'clock. I'm watching the Ravens and I'm thinking, my God, they're as bad, if not worse than we
Cooper
are.
Rush sucks, dude.
So at 2-3, it's not like I have a huge amount of confidence in a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers either. So the problem with Jake Browning is, number one, the play calling is ass. The line is ass. Joe Flacco can at least throw the ball deep. So I think you're going to get more of a vertical offense. I think you're going to get a lot of play action. And then maybe, this may be one of the times where the play action may open it up so Chase Brown can gain some yards, because I've seen a lot of people rip Chase Brown about him being a bust. But if you're an offensive lineman and you got nowhere to run, you're not going anywhere. So I think also when you look at Joe Flacco, this is the most talented wide receiver core he's had in his career. So he's in Cleveland playing out the strain, getting $4 or $5 million to just hang out for his last year. And now all of a sudden he's got a shot to come to Cincinnati and do something. Because if Joe Flacco has anything left, this would be the best team for him to be on, outside of the fact that the O-line's terrible and he's a statue.
Now, with the Bengals making a quarterback change, I think there's going to be a few more of those going around the NFL. Where do you think is going to be the next team? Who do you think is going to be the next team that makes a change at quarterback? Because we've already seen the Browns go from Flacco to Gabriel.
Now it might be the Browns if Dylan Gabriel plays bad for a game or two.
Well, I was going to say, what about a team like the Raiders? Maybe the Saints going to the rookie Tyler Shuck. Do you think?
Well, I think because the Raiders have paid a fair amount of money for Geno Smith, right? They're paying a fair amount of money.
Yeah, but he's so been so bad,
Yeah,
dude.
but he always has been, except for that 1 year for 8 weeks. And that's what we're playing this off of. It's kind of like the time the Bengals gave Scott Mitchell a huge free agency contract because he replaced Dan Marino and was good for 3 games.
Or
And
like
then Scott Mitchell played for every team in history after that.
or how the Seahawks gave Matt Flynn like a 3-year deal for like 20 million a year, something like that, to start for them the same year they drafted Russell Wilson. And they did that because Flynn had like I think he threw for like 800 yards in those 2 games, but he had 2 good games at the end of the year
Yeah.
for the
But
Packers.
see, this is the thing people don't realize. If you come out and you have one great game, it means jack. The thing about it is, once you've had that one great game, you're on film, and coaches can find ways to beat you. And I think that's what we're seeing. And I think that's what we're seeing with Browning a little bit. There were 7 games of film when he played a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, he led him to a 4-3 finish, almost got him into the playoffs, but you had a better defense. The offensive line still sucked. But I think people realize right now, I mean, if you play cover 4, if you play a soft 4 against him, he's never going to throw the ball deep. If you play a cover 2, he's not really able to throw the ball deep. I mean, he's got decent arm strength, but it's not enough to be an elite quarterback. Joe Flacco has elite arm strength. I mean, he could bust the top off of a defense, and if you could keep him upright long enough to toss the ball 45 yards down the field, I like the chances that the ball is thrown down there to Chase or Higgins. So I think the Bengals had to do something. I think the biggest issue still is with the coaching staff, which they all need to be fired. And, last year I got a lot of crap because I told everybody that firing Lou Anarumo was a bad idea. And I would say that I was right when I look at the Colts being a top 5 defense and the Bengals being crap still. I mean, you can't blame a coach when you give away all these players.
Yeah, well, now let's stick with the quarterback conversation for a second, because I got 2 more things, and one of them is quarterback related. Well, it doesn't have to be, but it probably will be. We touched on it a little bit before when we were talking about the Bucks, and you mentioned Baker Mayfield MVP season. So at this point, I know we're only 5 weeks in, but is it Baker and everybody else?
I think it's Baker and Puka Nakua. If you're going to actually, do the right thing with wide receivers, I think the dude's got like 9 more catches than anybody else. He's already got 53, 52 catches, and he changes the game. So I think Puka Nakua, Jonathan Taylor, of course, because it seems like
Taylor,
he
yep.
scores 2 touchdowns every game. Right now, those would be my big 3 because it's definitely not Patrick Mahomes. It's definitely not Jackson. It's definitely not Burrow. I don't think it's definitely not Allen. I mean, so right now, Baker Mayfield to me is the guy that stands out. If Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay are good enough to go to the Super Bowl,
Yeah, for me, it's
especially if they're fully healthy.
Yep. So for me, it's Baker 1 and everybody else. But yeah, like you said, a guy like Jonathan Taylor is up there. Dan Jones is up there as well. He's been playing really
Yeah,
well.
but come on, let's quit just talking about quarterbacks. Puka Nakua has been dominant. I mean, what's he got?
Yes,
10 catches a game?
something like that. Yeah, he's got 52 receptions right now. Second
Yeah.
place is 11 away, 41.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to be honest about it, not just do what the talking heads do and just talk about quarterbacks, I mean, by far, he's the only quarterback I see having a season like that. And the bad thing is, Daniel Jones would probably be number 2 right now.
No, I mean, let's talk. Let's be honest though. The reason a wide receiver doesn't get talked about is because you're gonna have to put up 2,000 yards to get the
Well, the way
MVP as a
he's
wide receiver.
going, that might be possible.
It might be, especially in that office, and if Stafford stays healthy for a
Yeah.
majority of the season. That's the big if. Now, final question. Getting off of quarterbacks, let's talk real quick about the Philadelphia Eagles, because the AJ Brown drama keeps growing seemingly every week, and apparently Brown, Hurts, and Barkley had a little 3-way meeting sometime this week or something like that, and talk things out, and everything seems to be copacetic, and everyone seems to be on the same level because the offense is struggling. I said it when we were doing the Philadelphia game. 1 week the passing game sucks and they throw for 150 yards or less, and the next week Barkley sucks or the running game sucks, and Hurts ends up leading the team in rushing with 50 yards rushing or whatever it is. And Barkley's been struggling thus far this season. He's not doing anything close to what he was through the first 5 games of last year. AJ Brown is struggling. Hurts is struggling, and they're still 4-1. They're still one of the better teams in the NFC despite it. So all that being said, is this AJ Brown problem going to keep permeating, and is it just going to rot this team from within, or are they going to trade him before that
I think
happens?
it's already rotten this team from within.
You already,
And I
think
think
it's happening.
if they don't get rid of him now, they're not going to a Super Bowl. I mean, you can't have guys doing this crap. I mean, hell, it looked like he knocked the ball or tried to knock the ball away from on the Hail Mary pass at the end of the game. You should have cut his ass right then. The problem is you can't do it like you would in past years because you've got so much money tied up into a guy. You can't just cut him for being a dipshit. So what are you going to do? You have to trade him. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. AJ Brown's never going to be the difference whether the Eagles win a Super Bowl or not. He's just not. They win Super Bowl with defense, Saquon Barkley running the ball. And this Eagles team is not a Super Bowl team because Jalen Hurts is not a Super Bowl quarterback. And what I mean by that is this. Jalen Hurts can obviously win you a Super Bowl if you have a Super Bowl caliber team around him. This offensive line is not quite as good as it was last year. The defense is not quite as good, still damn good. And then they don't run the ball the way they did. And a lot of that's because the offensive line has dropped off over the last couple of years just by guys leaving. So I think you need to get rid of AJ Brown. And you can get something for him that may be able to help fix that offensive line or fix something. I mean, because this doesn't work with distractions.
One bonus question, since you mentioned the need to trade him yesterday. The trade deadline in the NFL is coming up in a few weeks. Do you think any big names get moved? Do you think AJ Brown does get traded in reality? Do you think Trey Hendrickson maybe or somebody else?
I think Trey Hendrickson has to be.
I
mean, dude, I watch these games. He's not even in good enough to shape to play more than 40% of the snaps.
In week 5, really?
Yeah. I mean, I think his snap total was very low. He's a one-trick pony. Now, if the one trick you need is a dude to rush the passer, Trey Hendrickson's your guy. The only problem is if you're playing a team with an elite offensive tackle, Trey Hendrickson's probably not beating him. It's just the way it is. When you look at Hendrickson's, what did he have last year? 17, 18 sacks?
I think 17 and a half.
11 of them came in 3 games against like the Raiders and 2 other teams that suck. Nice. So Trey Hendrickson has to be traded. Even if the Bengals start winning, he has to be traded because you paid too much for him anyways. And the Bengals, I mean, there's something to be said here. They lose a couple more games to just maybe trade for Shedeur Sanders and let him lose all the games and you get the first pick and you trade T. Higgins. You know, you've already traded Hendrickson. You stock up on draft picks and you try to build this team the way a team's supposed to be built, which is in the trenches, which they did not do. And what most of these teams that draft a quarterback number 1 don't do anymore. They forget that you have to protect that guy if you're going to go get him. And majority don't protect him. That's why the majority of these guys ends up being a bust.
I saw earlier this season, like a week or 2 ago, that a couple NFL teams are trying to look around for offensive line help, and I giggled to myself when I read it because it's like,
if anybody had it, they give it up.
Everybody in the NFL is looking for offensive line help except Detroit, pretty much. So it's like, yeah, that's the stupidest no shit headline of all time. Teams are looking to trade for offensive linemen. Everyone wants offensive linemen. That's why we have offensive lines that are so bad. There's a lack of quality offensive play around the league, and we've talked about that a lot in the last.
I think the guy. I mean, Kirk Cousins is a guy that I would want to go get. I know you don't like him, but Kirk Cousins has won a lot of football games. The only problem is he's making $27.5 million because I'd love to see him come to Cincinnati. I think the Bengals would be a playoff team if Kirk Cousins was here with the talent around him. The problem is you can't pay him $27.5 million because you already spent all that money on a defensive end and 2 wide receivers.
If Hendrickson doesn't get moved or Brown doesn't get moved, I think the one name that I think is more realistic, I think, is a guy like Alvin Kamara. His name popped up recently. He's another one who's day to day with a new injury, and he's gotten less touches over the last couple of weeks. He's seen his playing type snap-wise be decreased, and he's almost in a 50-50 time split with Kendra Miller, the running back out of TCU they drafted a couple of years ago. So this team, New Orleans sucks. They're not going anywhere. They're 1-4. Yeah, they just beat the Giants, but more fluke than anything. One of those any given Sunday type of things, as opposed to the Saints
How about
suddenly.
this? What about Phillips from the Dolphins, the edge?
Phillips is another one. I mean, they're another team that's going nowhere, and their pass rush is nothing anyway. And they do have a guy like Chop Robinson who is pretty much seeing the
Yeah.
field
So if
more.
you're the Chiefs, I would go get him.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. If you're a team that needs pass rusher, if you're the Bills,
Or the
if I'm the Bills, I would
Buccaneers,
trade for him. If I'm the Patriots, I would trade for him. Like everybody needs pass rush
the
these days.
49ers, they lost
Hell yeah.
Bosa.
Yep.
The Indianapolis Colts need a time, and that's where I would look. Would be the Colts to possibly trade for Henderson just because Lou Anarumo's there. And I know that Anarumo today or yesterday signed Jermaine Pratt, who was the starting linebacker
Yep.
with those Bengals teams that Lou
Yep.
Anarumo was with.
Yep. And you know what? One thing before we wrap it up is I want to see what I would love to see. I know NFL contracts are harder to move with the salary cap and all that shit, but I'd really like to see more NFL teams at the bottom of the standings sell off like teams in baseball do. Like the teams that are at the bottom of the standings in baseball, they're going to trade bullpen pieces, they're going to trade starters, they're going to trade utility infielders and whatnot. Even in the NBA, teams at the deadline,
Yeah, but the problem with that
they
is
trade guys. But I want to see the Saints trade Alvin Kamara. I want to see the Dolphins trade Phillips. I want to see the Browns do another trade a couple guys. Like, make it fun, make it interesting.
it's baseball. If you're trying to be like baseball, there's nothing fun and interesting about that. It's just a team with the
I'm
most
just
money.
saying,
Yeah, but
like,
see, the thing is this: the problem in baseball with that is it's basically young and up and coming teams to decide to sell off some guys to the Yankees, the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Astros, so the rich just get richer.
tell me, like,
It would be better in the NFL.
if
Yes.
you're like a Buffalo Bills, for example, and you're looking at the Saints, you wouldn't want to try to trade like a third or something like that for Chris Olave and see what you could do at the wide receiver spot because they got nothing right now.
Well, I will
Like,
also tell you this though. The other thing you
stuff
got,
like that.
the other thing you got though is baseball. You come in, there's nothing really to learn except some signals. If you bring in somebody week 7 or week 8, they got to be able to learn the offense or the defense pretty damn quick too. So
That is true.
I think that does have a lot to do with why there aren't as many trades like that in football as there are in baseball. That and the fact that if you trade that guy and then you play that team, they know all your calls.
Or like, the Giants trade Russell Wilson, or the Titans trade Simmons, or the Raiders trade Myers because they're not doing anything with him and their offense sucks.
Well, the Raiders don't
So
do anything with anybody.
yeah, you're not wrong. But anyway, but yeah, that's all I got. Unless you have any
I
special.
got nothing. I got nothing at all. I'm ready to
Awesome.
go.
All right, let's do it. So before we go, I want to thank you guys for sticking with us throughout this show. Again, this is Big TDs and Tangents here on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, where legends speak. Give us a follow wherever you are on social media, wherever you're watching this. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, hit the alert tab wherever you happen to be. So whenever we go live, you know what's happening. And if you guys have any questions or concerns or anything you want us to talk about next week, comment on our videos. We'll get them. We'll respond. And yeah, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. I'm Dan Kornhauser from Mike Goodpaster. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week.